Hi viewers, welcome to our channel Max IELTS tutorial. If you are a first time viewer of a channel, then don't fail to subscribe our channel. In our previous set of videos, we had discussed about the pattern of all four tests of an academic and general version of IELTS. In this series of video, we will have a detailed study about the different types of questions which you will be facing in an IELTS reading test. In this video, we will be seeing how to go about answering, matching heading, labeling a diagram, and completing sentence type of questions. Here is our reading passage. You can pause the video and go through the passage and the questions that follow them. If you need the reading passage and the questions for your future reference, you can find the same in our description. As you had seen previously, the first set of questions are matching heading type questions. One tip which you can follow as soon as you see a matching heading type question is not to read the entire passage at a stretch. When you have a matching type question first, read the initial paragraph thoroughly. Then skim through the list of headings and choose an appropriate heading for the first paragraph. After which, you can move on to the next paragraph. Read the entire paragraph and match a perfect heading from the list of possible headings given. When you follow the same pattern for the entire reading passage, you can save a lot of time as you are not going to reread the passage many times, but you are just going to reread the questions, which will not consume a lot of time. When you attend the matching heading type questions first and then move on to the other type of questions, it will be easier for you to find out the answers as you have headings for every paragraph now. And you can catch up with the keywords with more ease. Now let's solve the matching heading type questions for this reading passage. As mentioned earlier, I am not going to read the entire passage at a stretch. I'll be solving paragraph by paragraph. So now I'll start reading paragraph A. You can also follow along with me. Zhang Yue is founder and chairman of Broad Sustainable Buildings, otherwise known as Broad, who on 1st January 2012 released a time lapse video of its 30-story achievement. It shows construction workers buzzing around like gnats while a clock in the corner of the screen marks the time. In just 360 hours, a 100-meter tall tower called the T30 rises from an empty site to overlook Hunan's Xiang's river. At the end of the video, the camera spirals around the building overhead as the broad logo appears on the screen, a lowercase b that wraps around itself in an imitation of the antarate symbol. The company is in the process of franchising its technology to partners in India, Brazil, and Russia. What it is selling is the world's first standardized skyscraper, and with it, Zhang aims to turn Broad into McDonald's of the sustainable building industry. When asked why he decided to start a construction company, Zhang replies, "It's not a construction company, it's a structural revolution." Now, let's have a look at the question. The first three options states a joint business project, another engineering achievement, and examining the overall benefits. But none of these three go hand in hand with paragraph A, as there are no keywords in paragraph A which match with the first three given headings. When you have a keen look of paragraph A's last sentence, it's not a construction company, it's a structural revolution, compels us to select the fourth heading, that is, building like no other, as the appropriate choice for paragraph A. Now, we shall move on to the next paragraph. So far, Broad has built 16 structures in China, plus another in Cancun. They are fabricated at two factories in Hunan, roughly an hour's drive from the Broad town, the sprawling headquarters. The floors and the ceilings of the skyscrapers are built in sections, each measuring 15.6 by 3.9 meters with a depth of 45 centimeters. Pipes and ducts for electricity, water, and waste are threaded through each floor module while it is still in the factory. The client's choice of flooring is also pre installed on top. Standardized truckloads carry two modules each to the site with the necessary columns, bolts, and tools to connect them stacked on the top of each other. Once they arrive at the location, each section is lifted by crane directly to the top of the building, which is assembled like toy Lego bricks. Workers use the materials on the modules to quickly connect the pipes and wires. The unique column design has diagonal bracing at each end and tabs that bolt into floors above and below. In the final step, heavily insulated exterior walls and windows are slotted in by crane. The result is far pretty, but the method is surprisingly safe and phenomenally fast. Again, we shall skim through the list of headings comparing the key phrases. Pipes and ducts for electricity, water, and waste are threaded through each flow module while it is still in the factory, and the keywords once they arrive at the location to the list of headings given. The best choice for this passage would be option 8, from factory to the building site. Next, we shall have a look at paragraph C. Zhang attributes his success to his creativity and to his outsider perspective on technology. He started out as an art student in the 1980s. But in 1988, Zhang left the art world to found Broad. The company started out as a maker of non pressurized boilers. His senior vice president, Juliet Jiang, says he made his fortune on boilers. He could have kept doing this business, but he saw the need for non electric air conditioning. Towards the end of the decade, China's economy was expanding past the capacity of the nation's electricity grid, she explains. Power shortages were becoming a serious obstacle to growth. Large air conditioning units fueled by natural gas could help companies ease their electricity load, reduce overheads, and enjoy more reliable climate control into the bargain. Today, Broad has units operating in more than 70 countries, in some of the largest buildings and airports on the planet. Looking at the features like started out as a maker of non-pressurized boilers and he saw the need for non-electric air conditioning, it is quite obvious that the right heading for this passage is option 2, other engineering achievements. We will now go through paragraph D. For 2 decades, Zhang's AC business boomed. But a couple of events conspired to change his course. The first was that Zhang became an environmentalist. The second was the earthquake that hit China's Sichuan province in 2008, causing the collapse of poorly constructed buildings. Initially, he says, he tried to convince developers to refit existing buildings to make them both more stable and more sustainable, but he had little success. So Zhang drafted his own engineers and started researching how to build cheap, environmentally friendly structures that could withstand an earthquake. Within 6 months of starting his research, Zhang had given up on traditional methods. He was frustrated by the cost of hiring designers and specialists for each new structure. The best way to cut cost, he decided, was to take building to the factory. But to create a factory built skyscraper, Broad had to abandon the principles by which skyscrapers are typically designed. The whole load bearing structure had to be different. To reduce the overall weight of the building, it is used less concrete in the floors. That in turn enabled it to cut down on structural steel. The second sentence in the passage turns to be the clue to find out our answer. That is, but a couple of events conspire to change his course. Change his course is the key element which compels us to choose the sixth option as the answer. That is, a change of direction. Few of us may think that the fifth option is the answer because the passage also gives us information about the traditional methods. But what you should see is if the benefits of the traditional method is spoken about. But there is no such information. So we shall stick on to the sixth option. Moving on to passage E. Around the world, prefabricated and modular buildings are gaining in popularity. But modular and prefabricated buildings elsewhere are, for the most part, low rise. Broad is alone in applying these methods to skyscrapers. For Zhang, the environmental saving alone justified the effort. According to Broad's number, a traditional high rise will produce about 3,000 tons of construction waste, while a broad building will produce only 25 tons. Traditional buildings also require 5,000 tons of water on site to build, while broad building uses none. The building process is also less dangerous. Elevator systems, the base, rails, and machine room can be installed at the factory, eliminating the risk of injury. And instead of shipping an elevator car to the site in pieces, Broad orders a finished car and drops it into the shaft by crane. In the future, elevator manufacturers are hoping to pre-install the doors, completely eliminating any change that a worker might fall. Traditional construction is chaotic, he says. We took construction and moved it into the factory. According to Zhang, his buildings will help solve the many problems of construction industry and what's more, they will be quicker and cheaper to build. Again, for this paragraph also, we are actually stuck between two options. That is, whether if it is examples of similar global brands or examining the overall benefits. The author has spoken about the different brands like prefabricated and modular buildings. But here he has just named them and has not given any examples of such constructions. So we will have to eliminate option 7, and now let's consider the next option which we had it in hold. That is examining the overall benefits. This option is considered as the apt option because the author gives us a brief note of how this process of building takes place. Now we are done with matching heading type of questions. Next, we shall move on to the diagram labeling questions. For this, we shall examine the next set of questions based on the same reading passage. When I look at the picture, the first thing that strikes in my mind is the picture depicts the steps of construction of the building. Now, since we have just completed matching the heading questions, I'll have a look at those questions to find out which passage gives us information about the process. It is paragraph B, which tells us the transformation from factory to the workplace. One important feature which you will have to keep in mind is you must use only one word to label the diagram. The first question states pipes and ducts installed when in dash. So let us find these same words in para B. Pipes and ducts for electricity, water, and waste are threaded through each floor module while it is still in the factory. So the answer for the question is factory. Let's continue to read the passage. The client's choice of flooring is also pre-installed on top. So the answer for the seventh question can either be floor or flooring, chosen by the customer. The next keywords which we should search from the passage are diagonal bracing at top and bottom of. In the passage, we have the unique column design has diagonal bracing at each end and tabs that bolt into the floor above and below. So, the answer is diagonal bracing at top and bottom of column or columns. The ninth question states that section contains less dash. But when we go through the same para, we are not able to match any keywords. But thinking logically, the answer should be something related to the characteristic of the construction. When we go through the reading passage, we can find that para D talks about weight of the building. The author states that to reduce the overall weight of the building, it used less concrete in the floors. That in turn enabled it to cut down structural steel. So the answer goes like this. Section contains less concrete. So now we have completed the labeling the diagram type of question, and we shall move on to the next set of questions for the same reading passage. The next set of questions are completing sentence type of question. Again, even for such type of questions, we must be careful with the word limit that has been mentioned. The word limit that is mentioned for the questions given here is not more than 2. The 10th question goes like this. Zhang refers to his business as a dash. This question is quite direct. In para A, the author states that it's not a construction company, it's a structural revolution. So, the answer for this question is Zhang refers to his business as a structural revolution. Moving on to the next question, the first product Broad manufactured were dash. If you remember our matching the heading question, we had marked passage C as other engineering achievements. So our answer should be in passage C. The third sentence of the passage says that the company started out as a maker of non pressurized boilers. So the answer for this question can be either non pressurized boilers or just boilers. Here, non pressurized is considered as a single word. The following question is in the late 80s, Dash were holding back industrial progress in China. In the same paragraph that we discussed previously, that is para C, the para states that power shortages were becoming a serious obstacle to growth. Hence, the answer for this question is in the late 80s, power shortages were holding back industrial progress in China. We have come down to the last question. In addition to the power and cost benefits, Broad's AC units improve dash. We've got the answer for this question in the last before sentence of para C. Large air conditioning AC units fueled by natural gas could help companies ease their electricity load, reduce overheads, and enjoy more reliable climate control into the bargain. Therefore, the answer for the last question is: in addition to power and cost benefits, Broad's AC units improve climate control. Hope you have the confidence to solve matching heading, labeling, and completing the sentence type of question. If the video was informative, like and share our video. In our next video, we shall discuss about table completion and matching feature type of questions. Subscribe our channel for more videos and click on the bell button to get notifications of our future videos. You can also follow us on our Instagram and Facebook pages.